You're watching DX Recaps, the place where we break down movies fast, clear, and spoiler-packed. Whether you missed it, forgot it, or just want a quick refresh, we've got you covered. Let's get into the story.
Deep within a city's underground tunnels, construction crews work tirelessly to develop a new subway station. But their routine task takes a terrifying turn when they stumble upon a mysterious opening in the earth, releasing a foul, almost toxic odor. Curious, the workers decide to explore this hidden passage, only to find themselves surrounded by towering piles of garbage, resembling grotesque mountains. Unbeknownst to them, they're being watched. Giant insects skitter in the shadows, and a massive tentacle slithers silently behind them. As they push deeper into the tunnel, they come across something entirely unexpected, an enormous otherworldly egg. News of the bizarre discovery reaches the ears of the company's CEO, who promptly arrives at the scene. When shown the massive egg, his eyes light up with greed. He's convinced this oddity could be worth a fortune. He orders the team to retrieve it immediately. Meanwhile, one of the workers, Don, strays from the group and becomes lost. As his flashlight flickers ominously, he fumbles to fix it, unaware that something monstrous is awakening just feet away. Suddenly, the behemoth stirs. Don hears the movement, turns around, and his scream echoes through the tunnels. The team rushes to find him and discovers a terrified Don ranting about a monster. Before they can process what's happening, strange noises erupt from every direction. Panic sets in as a massive tentacle lashes out, grabbing one of the workers and yanking him away in an instant. The CEO shouts for everyone to flee. Chaos erupts as the workers scatter, some hurled through the air by powerful, thrashing appendages. Amid the destruction, Don tries to save his friend but ends up being violently tossed aside. Mountains of garbage collapse, forcing Don to run for his life. He barely escapes, only to find the tunnel's exit sealed off, leaving him helpless and grieving his friend's apparent death. Elsewhere in the city, a boy named Jake plays with his father, Jing, who's picking up nails from the road to avoid damaging his tires. Suddenly, birds scatter, and a loud honking sound draws their attention. A truck barrels toward them, driven by a panicked construction worker fleeing the monster. The truck hits the nails, jolts violently, and spills a large crate before speeding off. Inside the crate is the same egg, now in Jing's possession. Believing it valuable, he decides to keep it, though Jake is visibly worried. He listens to the egg and hears something moving inside. But Jing, blinded by potential riches, ignores his son's fear. Later, they return to Jing's junkyard home, only to find a sleek red car parked outside. His mood sours immediately. Jing removes his wedding ring before entering, where they're greeted by Lena, Jing's ex-wife. She's upset that her son is living in such squalor. Her new fiancé soon joins the scene, armed with fancy gifts that win Jake's immediate affection, leaving Jing bitter. Lena lashes out, calling Jing a failure and announcing plans to take Jake away to another province for a better life. The fiancé boasts of private schools and a bright future, insinuating Jake won't end up scavenging like his father. This sparks a full-on brawl. Jing punches the man, and chaos ensues as they bite and wrestle like cartoonish rivals. Lena storms off, dragging Jake with her while the fiancé scurries behind. That night, Jing's elderly father tends to his wounds when their dog begins acting strange, circling the truck nervously. Something's wrong. The egg begins to hatch. All around, animals go wild in reaction. The grandfather investigates, spotting the truck shaking and sticky fluids dripping from it. When he peers inside, he sees a tentacle. He races to warn Jane, but when they return, the entire truck is gone. Then, boom, an object crashes to the ground. Looking up, they see the truck suspended mid-air wrapped in monstrous limbs. The beast senses their presence and retreats, dropping the truck. Before anyone can react, it strikes. Jing dashes back inside, barely saving his father. Then, another car approaches. It's Lena with Jake. As Jake runs toward the building, a massive tentacle snatches him up. Lena desperately tries to pull her son free, but the monster's grip is unrelenting, until Jing charges in with a knife and severs the limb. They douse the truck in gasoline, and Lena throws a lighter, engulfing the creature in flames. It writhes in agony, burning alive. But Jing is horrified as he realizes his savings, stored in the truck, have just gone up in smoke. In the aftermath, Jake tells Jing the monster came from the egg. But before they can fully process everything, The fiancé storms in, angry that Lena called him. He accuses her of exaggerating everything and disrupting his business meeting. Suddenly, the entire junkyard trembles. Lights flicker. Jing looks out the window and sees it, another, even bigger monster, crawling into the yard. Tentacles slither over the building. It peels off the roof and exposes its enormous face. The monster thrashes the building. The fiancé and his guards bolt in fear. One by one, they're flung through the air, and eventually, the creature snatches the fiancé, inspects him briefly, then tosses him aside like trash. It then blocks the family's only escape, grabs Jake again, and, for reasons unknown, stares at him closely. It smells something familiar, then vanishes into the earth, taking Jake with it. Jane and Lena scream helplessly, digging at the ground, devastated and powerless. Later, Jing sits in grief. Lena blames him for everything. Then, hope arrives. A mysterious man and his student burst in. They've been tracking the monster. The girl asks about the creature, and we learn that the man is a marine biology professor. He examines the severed tentacle and deduces that the egg must have belonged to the monster's child. When it found the egg missing and dead, it went searching for its offspring. The professor believes it mistook Jake for its baby and has taken him alive. Indeed, Jake awakens, alone, in a cavern of trash. He rises, scared, only to face the tentacle that abducted him. The monster approaches, cornering the boy, then removes its mask to reveal a grotesque, grinning face. Jake recoils in fear. The monster licks him with its huge tongue, growing frustrated by Jake's reaction. It lets out a deafening roar. Suddenly, music begins playing from inside the creature. It screams in pain and collapses, writhing in agony. As Jake looks on, stunned and unsure of what happens next, the massive creature stumbles behind a mountain of garbage, writhing in pain as it attempts to expel the noisy machine lodged in its throat, completely ignoring the human standing nearby. Jake cautiously approaches the beast, which thrashes in agony on the filthy ground. He offers to help, but under one condition. Once he's done, he wants to go home. Determined, the boy grips the wires and yanks with all his strength. The monster struggles to cough up the obstruction, but with one last tug, Jake manages to remove the object jammed inside its throat. With the blockage finally gone, the creature rises shakily to its feet and gazes intently at the boy. In an unexpected gesture, it scoops Jake up gently, as if expressing gratitude for saving its life, before placing him back down and settling into the refuse to rest. Meanwhile, at the lab, the scientist examines a sample of the creature's tentacle. Coldly, he tells Jake's distraught parents to give up hope. But Jake's father refuses to accept this, grabbing the scientist and pleading with desperation. Moved by the father's resolve, the scientist finally agrees to help locate the monster, reigniting hope in the grieving parent. The group follows the scientist to his research facility, an eerie space filled with grotesque statues of past creatures, including a massive serpent and a towering snow beast over 200 meters tall. The scientist proposes that the only way to subdue the creature is with tranquilizers strong enough to knock out an elephant. He also reveals a dangerous chemical capable of killing it, but sternly warns that it should only be used if the creature proves to be truly malevolent. Back underground, Jake watches as the monster devours piles of garbage. Confused and hungry, he searches for food but finds nothing, not even water. All he can do is watch the beast feast on trash. Noticing Jake's hunger, the creature nudges heaps of garbage toward him in an attempt to share its meal. But the gesture only turns Jake's stomach. He wonders if the creature is only eating waste because there's nothing else. Soon, however, Jake is distracted by the monster's oddly playful demeanor. It tosses trash into the air and laughs like a massive gorilla. Jake joins in, flinging bits of refuse into the creature's mouth, which sparks a strange bond between the two. Amused, the boy begins role-playing as Ultraman, pretending to battle the beast. The monster, playing along, dramatically falls from Jake's imaginary blow, while the two enjoy their makeshift game. Don, the construction worker who witnessed the earlier massacre, is haunted by memories of the colleagues lost to the creature's rampage. Fueled by rage, he vows revenge and recruits other survivors for a final confrontation. Later, Jake wakes to an unusual noise. Investigating the disturbance, he's suddenly seized by a man, one of the surviving workers. The man insists on rescuing Jake and eliminating the monster. But Jake begs him to stop, insisting the creature isn't dangerous to humans. The man doesn't believe him. Too many of his friends died at the monster's hands. Determined to escape quietly, the man begins tiptoeing around the creature, avoiding its tentacles. But it's too late. The monster senses their presence and awakens, roaring in fury. The worker grabs Jake and flees, but in the panic, he accidentally drops the boy into a pool of toxic wastewater. Seeing the monster approaching, the man flees in terror. Jake sinks deeper into the pond. Just as things seem hopeless, the creature returns and pulls the unconscious boy from the water, gently laying him on the ground. It tries to wake him, but Jake doesn't respond. Desperate and heartbroken, the monster lets out a pained cry. At the same time, the professor and Jake's parents prepare to descend into the underground tunnels. Inside her ex-husband's vehicle, Lena discovers a piece of paper, an old marriage document still bearing the wedding ring. As she inspects it, she realizes the truth. Jane is suffering from a chronic illness. Overcome with emotion, she bursts into tears. When Jane enters the vehicle, Lena confronts him. He calmly explains that he never mentioned it because he didn't want pity. He only wanted to spend time with Jake and give him a future while he still could. Their emotional moment is interrupted by the grandfather, and together they race to the underground construction site in search of Jake. Upon arrival, they find Dawn and the other workers have already broken into the tunnel and plan to release poison gas to kill the monster. Jane tries to stop them, insisting Jake is still alive, but Dawn is blinded by vengeance. As tensions rise, the grandfather sabotages the machinery. Taking advantage of the confusion, the group pushes past the workers and rushes into the cave. Inside the trash-filled cavern, the scientist's assistant uses a detector to trace the monster. They follow the signal until they reach the massive beast, who's watching over Jake. Jane attempts to run to his son, but the scientist holds him back. They need a plan. He fires a tranquilizer at the creature, but the monster had already sensed them and knocks him aside. It roars in anger, only to be hit again, this time by Jane. Lena hurls more chemicals to subdue it. The creature, furious, gently places Jake in a safer spot before turning to face the humans. The tranquilizers finally take effect, and the beast collapses. As the parents climb the garbage mound to reach Jake, the scientist marvels at the creature and draws a blood sample. But something's wrong. The monster awakens, more enraged than ever, feeling threatened in its own home. It lunges at Jake, but is struck by a flying arrow from the workers. Enraged, the humans launch an all-out attack. The creature retaliates, flinging people into the air. Hooks are thrown to restrain it. Meanwhile, Dawn locates the deadly chemical and hurls it at the monster's face, severely burning it. He follows up with a massive arrow shot to the chest. The beast, overwhelmed, is losing the fight. Just then, Jake begins to wake. Horrified by the sight, he begs them to stop. Hearing Jake's voice gives the creature renewed strength. It throws its attackers aside, but one worker lights a stick of dynamite, only to accidentally toss it toward Jake and his parents. The explosion knocks the boy from the pile of debris. The monster, though gravely injured, leaps in and catches Jake just in time, saving him again in front of everyone. But there's no time to celebrate. A towering heap of trash begins to fall, and the creature throws itself over Jake to shield him, suffering even more brutal wounds. As the monster lies wounded, the workers close in, thirsting for revenge. They stab the creature repeatedly, ignoring Jake's desperate cries. Finally, Dawn drives a spear into the creature's heart. As he pulls it out, garbage spills from the wound, but no human remains. Moments later, survivors arrive and reveal the truth. The monster didn't kill anyone. It was the giant spiders that had slaughtered the workers. The stunned group lowers their weapons. Dawn turns and stares at the lifeless creature, realizing that he has become the very thing he sought to destroy, a monster. In the aftermath, Jane is reunited with his son. Lena, now seeing her husband in a new light, chooses to give their love another chance. She agrees to remarry him, and the family embraces as Jake watches with quiet joy. Later, Jane is interviewed about the incident. When asked about the monster, he refuses to use that word. The creature, he says, never harmed a soul. He speaks instead of how humanity has become the destroyer, killing nature, destroying habitats, and asks the viewers one final question: who's the real monster now?
And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Recaps. See you in the next one.